Hello, beautiful people. Hope everybody's had a great week. I want to start off by saying thank you guys. I really appreciate you for watching, listening, the feedback, phone calls, text messages. You guys are really awesome, and I appreciate your support. And if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. I'm here for you. Want to start off this week. I got a reading assignment. Before I get to the reading assignment, I want to tell a little story, quick story. I met a guy one time. He was a delivery driver, and we were on his route, so I would see this guy pretty regular. And you know, as you do when you meet people and you see them on a regular basis, even if it's for a short time, you kind of get to know them. And one day he came in, dropped something off, and when he was there, he started telling us a story about how he was going through a divorce and how frustrating it was, and how he'd been with his wife for a long time, and they were separating. And one of the things he said that stuck with me was what was frustrating him about her was that he goes, she can't see past that stop sign, and there was a stop sign right, not too far from where we were standing. He's like, she can't see past that stop sign, and that's so true in so many ways that it's frustrating when somebody can't see what beyond what's right in front of them, can't see into the future, can't predict things that should be obvious that we all have to deal with, or life circumstances or situations that we all have to come in contact with. If everything seems like it's a surprise, everything seems like it's happening to you, and you can't plan into the future. I know for sure my life personally got significantly better when I could start seeing further and further into the future. If I could start planning and doing and laying groundwork for something bigger. But if I was living in a day-to-day life where I was, only able to think about what was happening right now, only think about the circumstances and situations that were happening right now, it constantly felt like I was drowning. I couldn't see past, today or right now. And the once I got out of that habit of not being able to see beyond right now, and I could see further and further down the line. I could see until tomorrow. I could see to the end of the week. And now I try to see things as far into the future as possible, where I've even, started thinking about end of life things and, wills, like, who writes a will, that stuff you don't think about, when you're young, but you start to think about these things as you get older and you start to plan for the future. So I start thinking about these things now, and I also think about the businesses that I'm involved with. Where are they going? And I can't just focus on today. I have to be focused on tomorrow and the next week and the next month and the next year, because I can't just let these businesses overwhelm me, because like I said, it'll constantly feel like I'm drowning and I can't get my head above water, because I'm constantly just in survival mode all the time. So once you get beyond survival mode, you can start planning and seeing things in the future. And part of that is being able to plan for the future. Even if you can see past the stop sign, what are you looking for? Like, if you don't have like a destination in mind, then really it doesn't matter how far past the stop sign you can see, because anything beyond the stop sign is better than where you are. So you'll just continuously be out searching for something and continually going in a direction, but have no destination in mind. I think we talked before, I said something before about it's like being on a ship with and setting sail, but not having any sort of destination in mind. So if you're on a ship and you set sail, you're going to get taken in whatever direction the current takes you, or whatever direction the waves take you, or whatever direction the wind takes you, because you don't have a destination. So part of seeing past the stop sign is having a destination in mind. Once you have a destination in mind, you can sort of reverse engineer what it takes to get to that point. And of course, there's always going to be issues, there's always going to be problems, there's always going to be unexpected things that happen, which will cause you to pivot or change strategies, or it might even slow you down. You might have to take a few steps back, but as long as you have that goal in mind, as long as you have that destination in mind, once things settle down and once things calm down, or once you pivot or regroup, you can always head back in that same direction. I have a friend I talked to this week. She's going to be going to climb Mount Rainier this summer, and she was kind of telling me how the process works. And I was like, well, how what do you got to do to get to the summit? How long does it take? All that kind of stuff. And she's like, yeah, it's a couple day thing, but the goal is to get to a certain point by the beginning of the second day, because of weather. So if you don't make it to the top the second day, you still have time to get there the third day. So even if you plan ahead, there's always things could always go wrong. Things could possibly the weather could be bad. Whatever storms come into life could change your plan. But if you have a destination in mind, you have a plan in mind that you can get to certain points and certain stages And once you get to those points, then you can weather the storm and then reach the summit the next day. And it's not going to be easy. You know, these things that you plan for should be difficult things. You shouldn't be planning for easy things. You shouldn't be, planning for a nicer car. You shouldn't be planning for a nicer house. Like, yeah, those are good plans to have, but you should definitely have bigger goals and bigger dreams and bigger aspirations that you're reaching for. And I can pretty much guarantee you the nice car, the nice house, all that stuff's going to come as a byproduct of reaching for something bigger. So when I was talking with that guy about when he told me about his wife not being able to see past the stop sign, I thought about that story when I read this book. This book is called Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. And it is it's mostly a business book. He talks about his climb as from being a salesperson at Bally Fitness to running and being a CEO of his own insurance company. So it's pretty fascinating when it comes to the details and the stories that he tells of where he started to where he is. But it's just incredible to think about how you know these people. I've been one of these people in your life that can't see past the stop sign. They struggle with every little thing in their life, and every single thing is like the end of the world, and every single thing is like just beating them down and crushing them, because they can't see past that challenge because they're not living for something bigger. If you're living for something big, if you're living for something huge and something small happens, then you just see it for what it is. It's a setback, it's an obstacle, and you see it as something you can solve and something you can fix and something you can move on from, because your destination is greater than this thing that's happening. But if you have no destination in mind, then every little thing, every little setback, every little challenge is gonna feel insurmountable. It's gonna feel like it's just destroying you or beating you down, because it's consuming you, because you aren't consumed with something else. You need to be consumed with something so big that whenever little things happen or bad things happen or setbacks happen, that this won't slow you down. It's just it's not even going to be a memory, because you're so focused on this goal or this dream or this destination that the journey you took to get there is going to be basically just full of stories of, oh yeah, I do remember that we had to go through that, or oh yeah, I do remember we had to overcome this issue or overcome this problem to get where we are. But the purpose of that is to get to the finish line, get to the goal, and everything else will seem insignificant. But if all the little insignificant things are drowning you and you can't keep your head above water because you're so focused on these little things, you've got to step back and find a bigger purpose, find a bigger meaning. And something else I see quite a bit is I see all these people that say self-made. It's really popular with the internet right now, social media. Everybody's self-made. I did this, I did that. I'm self-made. All that is a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of crap. Nobody does it on their own. Nobody is self-made. Everybody that's ever done anything significant in the world has had a ton of help. They've had direct mentorship. They've had learning experiences. They've had people help them. They've had people pioneer the road ahead of them. They've had people supporting them. So don't believe all this self-made nonsense. Don't think you have to go at it alone. All that's a bunch of craziness. I do watch a lot of content when it comes to like business and finance and coaching and stuff like that. Like I said, I have 2 coaches, and so whenever I'm on social media, this stuff comes across my feed because it's something I'm interested in. And I remember seeing recently a guy was given some sort of seminar for a class, and I don't know what he was selling basically, but he was trying to sell some sort of coaching program. And in the video of him teaching this class or this course, so this room full of people, he's wearing this polo, and on the front of the polo it says boss. And I laughed. I was like, this guy cannot be serious. This guy doesn't really walk around in a polo shirt that says boss. I can assure you, if you are paying attention to somebody like that, or if you are looking up to somebody like that, this guy's going to steer you down the wrong road. I wouldn't recommend following anybody or paying attention to anybody or taking advice from somebody that wears boss embroidered on their shirt. That's probably not the kind of leadership or support system that you need. But I can tell you, he's probably the kind of guy that considers himself a self-made millionaire or self-made, or whatever the terminology is, self-made. I can pretty much assure you he's one of those guys that says he's self-made. I promise you he is not self-made. He's had so much support, so much help, mentorship, And even if he read a book, if he read one book and that somehow catapulted him to some sort of lifestyle or some sort of income, then he's not self-made. He took somebody else's story that someone else spent decades compiling, and somebody took 20, 30 years of experience and downloaded it and put it in a book for us to read and consume and learn from. So even if that guy read one book his entire life and he used that one book as a blueprint, as a template to become successful, then he's not self-made. So don't listen to anybody who says they're self-made. Don't listen to anybody that calls himself a boss. There's way more selfless people out there that are willing to help you, that are a support system, that understand nobody's self-made, nobody did it on their own. That's crazy talk and it's nonsense. So don't pay attention to people that will try to convince you that they're self-made. That's just not a thing. It's non-existent. So anybody tells you that, they're just lying to you. So just forget all that nonsense. So back to the book. One thing that got my attention in the book was Patrick Bet-David talks a lot about systems, and I had somebody critique me recently that they said that I'm very, I do things over and over repeatedly the same way. I try to do things the same way, the same time, over and over and over and over. But somehow, some way, this system that I'm in, or the system that I've created, or the system I'm this ecosystem, or this method of the way I do things, it works for me. And the reason why it works is because I have, if I've got 100 things to do today and 100 things to do tomorrow, I can't just cherry pick and randomly do things. I have to get, so many of the most important things done first. Like the top 10 things have to get done every single day. So those things get done first. So if I'm going through my day and I'm trying to jump around my list of 100 things to do, it's very inefficient. So if I'm very systematic about how I go about my list of things to do, and I do things a certain way, a certain day, a certain time, a certain way, I'm more productive. And even if I'm not as efficient as possible, I need to be effective. So if I have a list and I have a way of doing things and I do them in a certain manner every single day, it starts to build results repeatedly. And if it's working, I try not to change it too much. I'll add to it, I'll take away from it, and see what those results are over a period of time. But yeah, it's very important to be a part of a system, and your system will determine how far and how quickly you get to certain stages. And one of those things is is planning ahead. You need to be able to plan several moves ahead. Like they say, it's chess, not checkers. Like you can't be going through life playing checkers while everybody else is playing chess. That's going to be frustrating for you, because it's going to constantly feel like you're getting your ass kicked, and it's because you are. It's because everybody else is a level above you, or if they're playing chess well, there's several levels above you. And as you come in contact with these people and you're playing checkers and they're playing chess, it's going to feel like you're losing a lot, and it's because you are. There's people that, like they said, there's levels to the game. You see this in sports, you see this in combat sports. There's a train coming. So you see this in sports, you see this in combat sports. There's levels to the game. You can see when somebody's outmatched. And I have a friend that tells a really good story about this. And he played baseball growing up through high school, and he got a scholarship to go play baseball at University of Arkansas. And when he showed up to the first practice, everybody's in the locker room, and they take the field. And he said whenever they went out to the field, he's like these guys, they were just different. You could just see it. He goes, you could see it, you could feel it. These guys were just different. And they still use aluminum bats at University of Arkansas. So he when he went to the first practice, they take the field, and he said these guys, he's like their forearms were like 2 or 3. And he's not a small guy. He's a built dude. These other guys, their forearms were like 2 or 3 times the size of his. He's like whenever they grabbed the bat, he's like you could almost see the bat give or the bat move. He's like, that's just how big these guys were. And he said he knew at that moment that there were levels to the game, and he wasn't gonna make it, because he knew, he could see it, like the writing was on the wall. He knew that these guys were on another level completely, and that baseball wasn't going to be in his future, because he understood at that moment, just taking the field that day, he knew that there were levels to the game that he physically wasn't going to be able to compete at. So you got to be thinking about this all the time. But there's levels to the game, and if you're constantly in survival mode, if you're constantly playing checkers, there's people out here that aren't living minute to minute. There's people out here that aren't living day to day and week to week and check to check and month to month. And there's people out here that are killing it and they're crushing it. And sadly for you, like, nobody gave it to them. Nobody's self-made. Like they put in the effort, they put in the time, they started planning, they started looking further into the future, and they started making things happen for themselves. And they found the right resources, they found the right coaching, they found the right book, they found the right group of friends, they found the right job, they found the right mindset. A lot of it starts in your head. Like, you have to believe that it's possible before any of these things will start to happen in your life. So that was one of my favorite things about the book. So if you're interested, it's probably not for anybody who just wants to read a book for the sake of reading. It's probably more of a business related book, but if you're into business, if you have a small business, I highly recommend this. Or if you do struggle with living too much, I don't want to say living in the moment, because you do want to live in the moment, but if you feel like you're drowning because of circumstances that are happening to you right now, then maybe this book will do some good for you. Read that book. Start thinking 5 steps ahead. That's his advice. Of course, he recommends thinking like 12 steps ahead, but he said beginners need to be thinking like 5 steps ahead. So I do recommend that book for that reason. If you have trouble thinking far enough in the future or planning far enough in the future to know what your next moves are. Let's see, what else do I got? Something else I was thinking about recently was when I was younger, when I started like really, really misbehaving when I went into middle school. So I was like, I don't know, whatever that age is, like 11 or 12. I just went off the deep end completely, started misbehaving a lot. And things didn't improve for a really, really long time. But I remember a couple times when I got in trouble, a principal or a teacher or something would, just be ripping me up one side and down the other about my behavior and how this was going to go on my permanent file, and there's consequences to my actions, and all these things. And a couple things. One, those talks they had with me, even though they had good intentions, those talks did really no good for me, because I just didn't care about school, like, at all. There was just I felt out of place in school. Even at a young age, I knew school wasn't for me. I ended up dropping out, so I'm a dropout. So I knew school wasn't for me at a very young age, and I tormented my teachers and everybody else around me once I figured out school wasn't for me. But during these conversations, like I said, these teachers and principals, they had good intentions, because they wanted to straighten me out. They knew I had problems, they knew I had issues, and they were doing their best with the words that they had and the experience that they had to try to set me straight. And if I could turn back the clock, and if I was smart enough at the time, and I probably wouldn't have listened because I had a hard head, but if I could turn back the clock, I wish I could put words into those teachers' minds to tell me that, yes, there's consequences to your actions, but there's also consequences to your inactions. And that was something that I'm still learning today, and I wish I would have learned a long time ago. But inaction, the consequences for inaction are so much more severe than the consequences for your actions. A lot of times we live in fear of a lot of things, so we're afraid to start, we're afraid to do, we're afraid of, even if it's afraid of stopping something, even if it's, say for instance, friends. You got a group of friends that you look around, you realize, like, hey, we're a group of people that we're never gonna do anything with our lives. This is just it. We just, and you want something more. Let's say you want something more. I'm not saying, hanging out, chilling, drinking, partying, whatever is a bad thing, but let's say you want more with your life. At one point, you're gonna have to look around and say, hey, wherever it is I wanna go, I'm not gonna be able to go with this group of people. Life is a lot about, I use car analogies a lot, but life is a lot about being in the right vehicle, going in the right direction, being on the right freeway, being in the right lane. So choosing the right vehicle, choosing the right direction, choosing the right freeway, choosing the right lane to be in, how fast to go. Like, if you're with a group of people and you're going in the wrong direction, you're in the wrong vehicle, you're on the wrong freeway, you're all these things, like, how could you possibly get to where you want to go if all the circumstances that are leading you to a destination are the wrong choices? Like, Wrong vehicle. This group of people is partly your vehicle. These are the people that are going to take you wherever it is you want to go. There's a saying, I forget who came up with it, but that your income is going to be equal to the 5 people closest to you. So whatever income the people that you hang out with most, you're probably going to be in their income bracket or really darn close to it. And it's going to be hard for you to, if you desire to have an increased income, how are you going to make more money when the people around you aren't people that are also trying to make more money? So, using the car analogy, the people are going to help you because nobody's self-made. Everybody needs help. Everybody's got to use a group of people to go somewhere. So the group of people you need, the group of people you hang around with, that's your vehicle. And then, like I said, picking a destination, picking a direction. Are these people going the same direction I'm going? Or if I get in this vehicle with these people, what direction are they headed? Is this the direction I want to go? And there's more times than I can count in my life. I just had a moment where I just looked around my life and my circumstances and my situation, and I just saw the people around me, and I was like, and oftentimes these people were quite a few years older than me, and I was like, wow, like I'm 10 years younger than this person, and we're in the same place right now. Like I was literally looking at this person, seeing my future. Like I'm gonna be this person in 10 years. If I don't make a change, if I don't do something different, I'm gonna be right here in 10 years. And I knew that's something that I didn't want. So I started having to make changes. So like I said, the group of people you hang around with is your vehicle, and the direction that you're going is the destination. Like you have to be with a group of people that are going the same place you want to go. And a lot of times that's uncomfortable because you're going to have to leave this group of people, which you're used to and you're comfortable with, and you're going to have to meet up with another group of people. And it's awkward at first because you're at the bottom. Like you're going to be a little bit scared. You're going to be a little bit worried, but you're at the bottom. These people know things that you don't know. They're doing things that you don't know how to do. They've been places you've never been. So it's awkward when you're the new guy, or you're the low guy on the totem pole, or however you want to say it. But that's just the reality of it. Like you're going to have to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable leaving this group of people, getting out of this vehicle and getting in another vehicle. But that's part of it. You have to grow. You have to learn. You have to be around people that are either where you want to be or headed that direction. And it's better to be in a vehicle moving in the right direction than be with the wrong group of people headed in the wrong direction. Like even if it's a minor change, just getting going in the right direction, even if you don't have anybody with you, it's better to be solo going in the right direction than in a group of people going in the wrong direction. So it can be incremental change. You don't have to do anything drastic at first, but do something to get going in the right direction, and then start looking for the right people to put around you. Back to consequences of inaction. One of the things that, like I said, I wish I would have learned a long time ago is consequences of inaction, because I so desperately wish I could turn back the clock to certain days and certain times and certain points in my life and had pushed myself to do things that I was scared to do, because had I had done those things sooner, or had I have made those steps or made those changes, most of the time when I look back, if I look in the rearview mirror and I see mistakes or issues or problems, most of the time I actually regret more of what I didn't do than what I did do. There's so many times I can look back and say, hey, I failed here, or I did something wrong here, or I didn't do enough here because I was scared to take action. I was afraid to do something. And most of the time it had to do with myself, fixing myself, or anything business related. Like I'm scared to make this step. I'm scared to make this leap. I'm scared to buy this piece of property. I'm scared to anything like that. Like I look back and I'm like, man, I feel like the consequences of my inaction have been way more costly to me than the consequences of my actions. So I don't want to see anybody in that situation where they're looking in the rearview mirror, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road and been like, oh man, I wish I would have done more, because like I said, just constantly be thinking about there are consequences to my inaction. Me not making a choice is me making a choice. Your failure to make a decision, your failure to choose a direction, your failure to choose a path is gonna hurt you worse than making a decision now. I think there's some sort of saying or expression that keeping your options endlessly open is like its own kind of prison. If you are constantly leaving your options open because you're just waiting for anything to happen, anything can happen. I'm just gonna be ready for anything to happen at any moment. You just can't wait. You cannot wait, because life is going to pass you by. I forget what the saying is, but something about holding your head down, life's going to pass you by. So if you're holding your head down, so you don't get hit with anything, and nothing's challenging and nothing's difficult, there's too much wind or too much resistance, so you're holding your head down, life is going to pass you by. And the consequences of inaction, I will keep saying that. You have to be thinking there are consequences to my inaction. Not doing is going to cause you way, way, way more regret than the few times you can look back and say, hey, I wish I would have done better here. I wish I would have done better here. Because there are consequences to your actions. Everything that you do has a consequence. But the truth is, most people are good people. Most people are honest, hardworking, trustworthy. They want a better life. They want to take care of their family. And that's you. That's who you are. You're already a good person. You've just made some mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. So you can't be too hard on yourself and beat yourself up over the minor consequences that you've dealt with for the actions you've taken. But on a much bigger scale, you have to understand that the consequences to your inaction is impacting you and impacting your life and impacting your kids and your family and your grandkids on a much bigger scale, because what you are afraid to do is, one, what you need to do, but what you're afraid to do is really the biggest impact that you're going to have on other people is addressing the thing that you're afraid to do. And your inaction, your fear of solving this problem or fixing this or being bigger or being greater or growing into whoever you're supposed to be, you're so afraid of that you're not going to take action on it. You're afraid to be too big. You're afraid you're going to overshadow somebody. You're afraid you're going to fail. Whatever the case is, like, your fear of action is gonna hurt you so much more in the long run than whatever menial issues or problems or difficulties you're going to run into from actually taking action. And sure, there's a lot that comes along with it. Taking action is going to make you a target. People are going to talk about you. You're going to fail. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose time. You're going to lose face. You're going to lose friends. There's a lot you're going to lose in this process. But I promise you that the actions that you're taking are going to build you into the kind of person that will be indestructible at some point. At some point, you will be so far. I was talking to a friend recently, and I was, talking like, when I look back, like I can't even put into words how it's even possible for me to, one, be alive today, but to have made anything out of my life. And like I said, I'm nothing special. I'm nobody. I'm not important. But from where I was to where I am, the distance is so great. I can't even see where I was. It's so far away. It's like when you use your phone GPS to go to a destination that you've never been to before. You put in the address and you get in a car and you go. You're driving. You can't see the destination, but you know it's there. You know that destination is there. You know that place exists. You know if you follow these directions, you're going to end up in this place. And sure, there's going to be issues along the way. There's going to be traffic. There's going to be some lunatic that doesn't use his signal. Somebody's going to pull out in front of you. There's going to be debris in the road. The freeway is going to be shut down and you're going to have to get off and use a service road. There's going to be issues. There's going to be problems. There's going to be all sorts of things are going to get in your way. But if you keep that destination in mind and you trust that this does exist at the end of the road, you will get there and you will find a way and you will find a path. But I promise you that if you spend your entire life sitting in your driveway, looking at your phone, looking at your GPS and realizing that this destination does exist and it's here, and you never even left the driveway because you were afraid of the journey, you were afraid of traffic, you were afraid of having, you were afraid of debris in the road, or you were afraid of somebody pulling out in front of you. If you're going to miss out on the destination because you're afraid of the journey, I promise you, the regret you're going to have from inaction is going to far outweigh any possible consequence of all the consequences of the actions that you have taken that you made a mistake on or you do regret. I regret a lot of actions I've taken and the consequences that I dealt with because of those. Yeah, I deal with those consequences. Even today, I deal with those consequences. But the ones that weigh on me the most, the ones that I think about the most, are missed opportunities, missed chances I had for exponential growth or any sort of change or any sort of progress or movement, those are the ones I regret the most. I regret the times that I didn't do. And I don't want that for you. I want you to get out there and do it. And I want you to do it. And the roadmap is there. The destination is there. And I do not want you to regret not moving forward. So keep in mind that there are consequences to your inactions. So I'm going to get going and get off of here. I really appreciate you guys. I love you. Thank you so much for paying attention and listening. Sorry I'm rambling a lot tonight. I had a lot to say and went a little fast and got sidetracked. But anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening, watching, paying attention. You guys are awesome. I love you, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.